Hey guys, this is my older adult oral video presentation. My name is Sonia. So the developmental stage that I had chosen by Erickson's model is stage 8, integrity versus despair. So that's basically identifying whether one is fulfilled with accomplishments of past, which is integrity, or experience regret and dissatisfaction over past, which is despair. So with this particular individual, some of the significant life events that they could think of throughout their life is raising successful children. Their son is a doctor and their daughter is a teacher. Some other significant life events that they could think of was their father passing away and then having grandkids. Some of the challenges that come with this specific life event is not learning to express herself. So she talked a lot about how she felt as though not being able to express herself throughout her life kind of hindered how she developed as an individual because she lets a lot of things slide by. And then lack of self-confidence. So again, basically throughout her life, she felt that she doesn't have enough confidence to confront people about expressing herself, which kind of led to a lot of conflict in her life. And then her third challenge was taking care of her mother. So after her father had passed away, she was kind of required to take care of her mother, and her mother lives about 3 hours away. So right as her father had passed away, she had decided to drive every weekend to Tri-Cities to take care of her mother, which kind of put a strain on herself because she was required to go every weekend for 3 hours and take care of her mother just for the weekends, and then come right back. So some of the accomplishments that she had during this stage was volunteering. So she volunteers at her church, she volunteers doing other things, and one of the ones that she wants to start volunteering with was working at the animal shelter. So she has a huge passion with volunteering. She's very, very passionate about it. And then raising children, like I said before, her son is a doctor and her daughter is a teacher. So that's something that she holds very, very dear to herself at this stage, is that she had raised children that are super, super, in her eyes, very, very successful. And then just recently, it wasn't at this stage specifically, but within the last, I think, year or two, she said that she had gotten the award of Nurse of the Year. So that's a pretty big accomplishment in her life. The psychosocial crisis resolution. So basically, she didn't really describe anything that had been like a very, very big crisis in her life. One of the things that she kind of drove home during the whole conversation was her future retirement, which is 1 year and 7 months from now. So when she retires in a year from now, or a year and a half from now, one of the things that she had started to worry about was loss of friends or social circle. So basically, she discussed the fact that she didn't know if she would keep in contact with all of her friends because she'd been with these friends for about between 20 and 40 years. And so those are just the people she hangs out with. And like my mom, for example, she met my mom through work because they're both nurses. And she is unsure if she would stay in contact with my mom specifically, mostly because my mom had already left the emergency room at the medical center already. She still keeps in contact with her now, but I don't know, she fears that she would not have as many friends or keep in contact with any more people as she retired. And then another one that she has is a loss of sense of identity. So like I said, she's been a nurse for roughly 40 years. So that's pretty much all she's known for most of her life, and she feels that as though when she retires, she won't have the same identity, which she won't. So basically, she won't be known as the nurse, and she had mentioned that throughout her career, she has been described as mom, which sounds weird, but she had said that at first she thought it was super weird. And then she kind of realized that she was at that point where she had so much experience and she trained so many people that it was normal for her to be identified as mom. So all of these new students are like, hey mom, I need help with this. And like I'd said, she at first thought it was super strange, but then she kind of gained confidence in that role where she would have that identity, and now she doesn't know when she retires what identity she would have after that. So basically that kind of goes into what role is next. Like, what role is next for her? She doesn't know. She would always be a mom in general to her kids, but she doesn't know what kind of the next step after retirement is, and that's kind of like a fear of hers because she doesn't have like a certain, I guess, goal to accomplish. And then travel. So basically, she had described that she would like to travel when she retires, and one of her main goals is to travel to every national park in the United States. And while that's not a certain role, that's kind of like a goal or accomplishment that she has for herself that she's kind of looking forward to. So some of the factors that play into this psychosocial crisis, again, it's not really one that she's experienced at this point, but it's a future thing that she's very, very nervous about. She talked a lot about it. So with that, her age, even though she hasn't experienced it yet, her age plays a very, very prevalent role. Like I said, she's spent over 40 years being a nurse. So basically, she has so much experience that that kind of played a factor in, I guess, her growing up as being a nurse for so many years. Her social class played a very, very big role because she has enough experience and income to maintain retirement. So one of her fears that she had talked about is, even though she is going to retire in about a year and a half, she didn't know if she would maintain the money to be able to do the things that she wanted to after she retired. But she knows that she's very privileged enough, I guess, in a sense, that she will have enough money to maintain her retirement. And then again, with that, it's her loss of social circle. So basically, she had described that she won't have as many friends when she retires, because again, all of her friends are from work, and so when she retires, she could keep in contact with all these people, but she had described that most of the time, for the most part, she probably won't keep in contact because they're not someone she sees every single day like she would if she was still working. Religion plays a big part of it because she volunteers for church. So she was privileged enough to be a part of her church program and volunteer for church. So during this stage of life, she actually still volunteers for church, and she found it very, very, to be very, very satisfying in her life at this time. Just because she goes to work and then she'll come home and her kids are grown up and she wants to do more for the country, so she goes and volunteers for church. And like I'd said before, some of her goals or aspirations past retirement is to travel to every national park in the USA. So again, even though this crisis hasn't happened yet, she has a plan or goals afterwards, which is actually very important. And then another one that I didn't put on here was that she has intentions of running a 5K. And she's been kind of training for that at this time. And so she's kind of looking forward to that after she retires in about a year and a half. Again, with the psychosocial crisis resolution, so a lot of people talk about oppression and how everyone experiences it, but she didn't really elaborate on the oppression that she had felt growing up in general to get her where she is now. She described about how she was very, very fortunate enough to not experience the oppression. So, like I'd said, she's faced many, many challenges growing up, but she didn't mention any significant negative events or for unjust treatment. So, basically, she's had negative, not consequences, but negative life experiences, such as her father passing away or whatever it may be. But it's not specifically oppression. She hasn't felt any kind of disrespect by anybody, and she hasn't experienced it herself by, I guess, expressing oppression to other people. She has described that throughout her life she has been one of those people who tries to be the best version of themselves, and that's one of her bigger accomplishments at this stage in life already. So a quote that she actually had by me not even asking about oppression really, is try to be kind to everyone, mostly with strangers or people you just meet, and not let inner feelings impact how you treat others. So obviously I put it as anonymous, so I don't have her name out there. So basically she had said that she hasn't experienced oppression by any means, but she decides to live a life where she doesn't try to judge anyone or let her inner feelings impact the way she interacts with other people. And I thought that was actually pretty cool because a lot of people, I guess, don't really talk about that. And without me kind of directing her towards that quote, she had decided to kind of quote that. And so that's kind of her bigger accomplishments, is just trying to be nice to everyone regardless of their background or anything like that. So when it comes to family, I think she had described family as being one of her major things in her life because they are supportive. Her family in general is supportive, and then her family, her immediate family, she's able to provide for them and raise quote unquote good kids. So basically that's kind of been a thing where it's facilitated her upcoming of retirement, even though she's fearing at this point retirement, which hasn't happened yet. She knows that when she gets to that point, she will have the sense of, I guess, relief or accomplishment, because again, her family is supportive in general, and then her immediate family, she's been able to provide for them for so many years, and throughout those years she's been able to raise good kids in her mind. And then her work community, again, she's just been nurse of the year. One time, I think it was a year or two ago, she had described, and again, she's had over 40 years experience, so that's kind of facilitated in the fact that she's she's looking forward to her retirement because she's done what she could throughout her lifespan so far. And then one of the other ecological theory, or I guess other theories that could be described for her situation is the ecological theory, which is by Bronfenbrenner. So this is basically the interaction between environment and individual. So the way someone interacts, or I guess developed, is described between the interaction between everything that goes on in this person's environmental life and this individual specifically. So one of the couple things